Hi, Hugh Taylor here, and today I'm going to take you through a bunch of press release examples. I'm getting asked a lot about what is a good example of a press release. People want to know what's my press release going to look like, or they want to try and write it themselves. So I thought I would show you a couple of different types of press releases to give you a feel for how they get put together. The first is a press release announcing an event. So here, the headline is Diabetes Run 5K Run, known as to be a virtual event on November 14th. So what they're announcing is that their annual 5K run is going to be a virtual event. So we have this, basic subject line, headline that follows a format of, event will be something, diabetes run to be a virtual event on November 14th. And then we have the lead paragraph, very short lead, Dateline, Chicago, September 23rd. It says, due to continued presence of COVID, the annual diabetes fundraiser will be held as a virtual event. So that's really all the news encapsulated in one sentence. Everything else is supporting information. This is some background on the run, and then there's a quote from the main organizer, followed by some registration. The link wasn't available yet, so we just wrote the press release with this placeholder, and then a little more information about the event, and then some background on the overall organization. So that, and then media for more information link. These are standard press release elements. And then a media contact, which again we didn't fill in because it wasn't available at the time. Here's a press release announcing a personal achievement. Very common kind of press release we have. People want to get some press for the cool things they've done. And so this is Linda Chang, 25, becomes first woman to complete 485-mile Colorado Trail solo without food resupply. So the headline, the headline's got to tell your story. If the headline doesn't tell your story, then the reporters are not going to read any further. So following this general headline format of, somebody does something, or a company is doing something, a company launches something, a person announces news. That's the general format and structure of a press release headline. So here we have Linda Chang, age 25. That's part of the news. She's only 25 years old, becomes the first woman. This is this classic first best only, FBO philosophy that is so important in press release writing. It's really great if you can announce that you're the first, best, or only of something. And then here's the accomplishment: complete a 485-mile Colorado Trail solo without food resupply. So young person does amazing achievement. You've landed the message in the headline. And then here's another supporting point that's kind of interesting in this sort of why should you care, it's because it's a transformative experience of self-discovery. That is why it matters, and why a reporter may also want to follow up on it. So the press release, again, has a dateline of Denver. You'll notice in AP style, when you say Denver or a major city like New York, you don't have to put Colorado, it's just Denver. Everybody knows where Denver is. And then here we have the lead paragraph has all the news in it, and recaps the story, and some more detail. Took her 21 days, climbing 89,000 feet. Quite a remarkable achievement. And then here's some quotes from the woman herself, and then we have supporting paragraphs with more detail about where she was hiking. Here's a press release announcing a crowdfunding campaign. Now, this is something we also got many requests for. Now, the challenge with the crowdfunding campaign press release is reporters are not necessarily interested in a crowdfunding campaign. In fact, the whole idea of it is a bit of a turnoff to them. They don't want to be enlisted in promoting your crowdfunding campaign. They're much, much more interested in what you're doing versus the fact that it's a crowdfunding campaign. Now, we are doing in this press release another sort of standard announcement format, which is a company is announcing a launch of something. So here it's Rollmate launches crowdfunding campaign for innovative dog roll container and feeding tool. Now, an alternative approach could have been simply to say Rollmate launches innovative dog roll container and feeding tool, and then talk about the crowdfunding campaign in the press release, because the crowdfunding campaign is actually not the most important element of this story. And it may actually turn off the reporter. But in this case, we decided to go with it. We're announcing a crowdfunding campaign, but we wanted to make sure that the reporter would quickly see what the value of it was. It stops messes and prevents spills and smells in the refrigerator today. That this is the why. Why should the reporter care? It's because this is, for a reporter who covers pets, this is why this is important. And the lead paragraph backs this up with more detail, saying, it's the unique, innovative solution for keeping dog rolls clean in the refrigerator, announced that it has a crowdfunding campaign to launch its finance operations, but then quickly goes into the details of what this product does and why it's good, and then supports it with a backup quote about how we love our pets, but their food is not our food, really making the case that you want to keep the food separately in the refrigerator, don't make it gross, and then more detail about the product itself, and then about the company, and of course a link to the crowdfunding campaign itself. Here's a press release and a media pitch for a class. I'm going to skip the media pitch, except to say that it's just, it's an email that we use to send a press release out to reporters. When you're going to contact a reporter, you have to have some kind of cover letter, and this is what the email pitch is. But I'm just going to skip that because we really want to focus in this video on press release examples. So here again, and hopefully you're seeing a pattern here, somebody is announcing something, somebody is doing something, a company is making news. That's what your headline is. Motherland Cooking Experience shares unique and delicious African cooking classes online or in person. Okay, so if you have 2 seconds to read this, you're going to get the basic idea. There's a cooking class online. It's very interesting. It's about African cooking. And then the subhead has this, little extra information. It's interactive experience with the best of African food, culture, and music. It's a whole cultural experience. And again, the lead paragraph is going to provide the same news, but with more detail, how it's launching this online cultural connection for food and fun, okay, interactive cooking experiences, all right, and then some information about who's doing it. It's Mirabelle Umene, and she's a mother of 3, just giving some more texture here, and some comments from her about what she's doing, and additional supporting paragraphs about what is actually going to be happening here, sharing African recipes, unique and custom online cultural experience, barbecue, Cameroon plantain dishes. Here's the detail. You've got the lead paragraph, you're hitting people with the news, very succinctly, here's the news, and then here's the supporting detail, which is, to give some richness to this and help the reporter understand why this would be an interesting story to cover. And then, of course, calls to action. Here's a sign-up link for the class, and here's some more information about the experience and so forth. So here's a product announcement. This is a very common kind of press release. And it's this is a announcement of a new product, which is an inclusive civil rights U.S. flag for all. So again, we've got our standard press release headline format, which is somebody is introducing a product. So here it's innovative designer introduces powerful inclusive civil rights U.S. flag for all. That's the news. Somebody's got a new flag. That's all you're getting out of the headline. Hopefully and it's civil rights U.S. flag for all. So that's hopefully of interest. If it's not of interest, people will move on. And then here's some more details, symbols of peace and diversity into a statement-making flag. Okay, and then the lead paragraph gives you this news, and then a little more detail about it and a little more reason to care about it. Civil rights flag is designed to create timely awareness for Americans and display as a symbol, okay, as this is this person's subjective point of view. Not everybody may agree with it, but this is her announcement, what she's doing and why it's important. And then there's more detail, including a quote from the creator's grandfather about why this flag is a good idea, and then a quote from her about why she felt this was an important flag to create, and so forth. And then more detail about the flag and more detail about her. Because, see, one thing that's interesting in this press release is that the press release is partly about the flag, but it's also partly about the designer, and she's part of the story. So the press release talks about her because maybe the reporter will be interested in doing a story about her and the flag too, but more about her. So the press release has a purpose in that sense. Let's just do one or two more. So here's a book launch, another very common type of press release that goes out. Many book announcements come out every day. In this case, it's announcing an anniversary of publication, so it's kind of a reminder that the book came out. But again, and hopefully you're seeing this pattern, its author is doing something about a book, either announcing a book, signing a book, touring with a book, publishing a book. So it's respected poet Kelly Kai celebrates second anniversary of Love Kai, her debut book. And then a little more information about her, author and champion of diversity and humanity. This is, again, this issue of why should you care? You want the reporter to care about the story, or else the reporter isn't going to be interested in learning more about it. So in this case, this was a little bit of a challenging press release because the book had already come out. So what we try to do is it was an anniversary announcement that gave us a good pretext to tell more of this story about her collection of poetry and her thinking and her influences and how she inspires her community and so forth. And then there's a lot more detail about the poet, about her, about the author, and really a lot about her perspective on issues in the society like racism. Because again, like the other press release we just talked about, the author is part of the story, and the reporter may want to do a story about her, the author, versus the book. And that's an important thing to keep in mind with press releases. It's not so much the news announcement itself, it's about who's making the news. That might be of interest to the reporter. But then there is, of course, information about the book itself because it's a book press release. I'm going to skip ahead because there's a topic that I get asked about a lot these days, which is, wait for it, cryptocurrency. So many requests for cryptocurrency press releases these days. So here's, this will be our final one. Don't want to go on too long with all this, but hopefully you're getting a feel for these different press release examples. Crypto for Winners launches alternative crypto market investment fund to create passive income. Now this headline has a lot in it, and I want to break it down because it's important. So we have our basic somebody's doing something. Cryptocurrency launches alternative crypto market investment fund. Okay, so that's already your basic news. But we've added in here the why you should care about it. Right in the headline, to create passive income. That's the why. So there's the what we're doing, and then there's the why. Now, a lot of the time, as we said, the headline is just like, what are you doing? Let's just keep it quick. Here we've got the what and the why you should care. And then there's a little more in the subhead of some validation. Experienced crypto traders are the founders, and that it uses algorithmic trading solutions and artificial intelligence. So we put a lot of validation of why this news is important, and there's a very significant reason for this, because if you're in this market, you'll know there's a lot of cryptocurrency news coming out. Every day there's dozens, if not hundreds, of announcements like this coming out. So there's a very intense competition for reporters' attention going on. So in a cryptocurrency press release, in my view, you have to pack in to the headline and the subhead everything the reporter really needs to know to care about this story. Don't play coy. Don't play hard to get. Just say what's important and why you matter. So in this headline and subhead here, we've said not only what it is, why it's important, and then why it's serious. So by reading, in this case, 35 words or something, the reporter can quickly say, oh, this is an interesting piece of news. I care about it because I'm interested in passive income, let's just say, and I believe in these people because I know they're experienced and they're using AI. So it's all in there. Now, everything else is detail. Now, of course, that's really important too. So you have this in the lead paragraph, again, all this stuff about how it's experienced, people started this, and proprietary algorithm, and so forth. And then the rest is, then there's a quote from somebody in one of the founders or a spokesperson. And the rest of this press release is really about validating the concept and building up the value proposition of what they're doing. So they're saying they're offering high returns, stability, other types of differentiation in terms of, where they stand in the market, and then supporting paragraphs of detailed specifics of, we're using this type of currency pairing and, these various, numerical things, which frankly I don't really understand. But the whole idea is that they're saying these are the details. So this press release has a format of we're making a claim and then we're going to prove our point, which is something that you have to do in a press release in such a competitive and volatile situation as cryptocurrency. So they're saying, here's our news, we're interesting, we're innovative, and we know what we're doing, and here's why it matters, and here's how we're doing it. So by the time the reporter has finished reading this, they're going to think, oh, these people are for real, and I've got enough detail about what they're doing that I really know that they know what they're doing, and you've passed over into a zone of like validity. You're considered real enough for a reporter to want to talk to you. There is a credibility problem in cryptocurrency. You have to prove that you're credible to justify a reporter talking to you, and that's the challenge that we undertook with this press release. Anyway, those are just a couple of examples of press releases. I could go on about this all day, and I bet you're really glad that I'm not going to do that, but this is a little bit of an introduction to press release examples. If you want to learn more, if you want to talk to us about press releases, click below at the link to commsfactory.net, and we'd be happy to talk to you about how we can help you with your public relations and press release writing needs. So we look forward to being in touch. Thanks.